I'm going to give you a model speech based on an Edexcel English First Language text, A Passage to Africa by George Alagaiha. This is something that I improvised to teach my students. So I'll be looking to read my script a little bit to this side, but bear with me. And if you need the document, then please email me. Listen. Yes, you. Listen, you who are sitting comfortably in the luxury of your quiet living room. I bet you've just tucked into a sumptuous lunch and are reading the Sunday newspapers. Did you catch an article that appeared last Sunday by George Alagaiha? Yes, the man you've seen on TV reading the news. An article about Africa, Somalia to be precise. Do you know where that is? Let me explain. Somalia is a war-torn country, the easternmost country located on the Horn of Africa. Accompanied by a single cameraman, George tramped his way across the country, documenting the plight of these poor people. Their living conditions are appalling. There are only so many roads, then the tarmac runs out, and they travel around on using dirt tracks. No suburban semi-detached home for them. They live in huts, mud huts. No carpets, no parquet floors. Dirt, dirt, dirt. Everywhere dirt. The villagers that George encountered in the remote hamlet of Gufkagud deeply affected him. Having seen the suffering and intolerable living conditions of the Somalians as he crossed from one end of the country to another, he reports that shockingly he became numb to the piteous scenes that unravelled every day. He felt ashamed that what would normally have evoked strong emotions had become the norm. Accepting the unacceptable. He talks of villagers forced to go out in search of edible roots, since no food at all had reached this distant corner of the country. The aid agencies that we generously give money to are disorganized. The help so badly needed is not getting through to these villagers. No food, no medicine, no healthcare, nothing. They are left to rot, unaided, uncared for, unremembered. He describes the horrific injuries of an old woman who had received a severe wound to the leg in the recent fighting, graphically portrayed and too gruesome to include in his photo journal last week. He describes the loss of a child, a young daughter, left alone while her mother went out in search of food, only to return to find her dead. Disease and starvation. He describes how impassive the villagers accept their fate. What would have caused outrage in our country is just accepted by the locals. They have no choice. I mean, how would you feel if you came home one day from food shopping and you found your young child dead on the floor? What affected him most? The ever-present stench of rotting flesh, the living dead, the smell of urine, feces and vomit, the inexplicable smile of a man who fleetingly appeared at a doorway and suddenly disappeared. This silent exchange of looks told George that the man had smiled to cover his embarrassment, an embarrassment of being so helpless. He talks about the sense of pity as these pitiless people accept their fate with dignity, without complaint. Once farmers, now futile food for the grave, a sense of utter revulsion, of utter disgust at what he sees around him, of personal shame that he, a Western journalist, could do nothing but look on. No doubt, if you'd read the article and skimmed through the photos last week, You might have felt a momentary sense of shame, of pity, of revulsion. But there you sit in your cosy little cosseted world. What can we do? What will you do? Yes, you. I call upon your sense of duty to your fellow man, to your fellow woman, to your fellow child. Are you content to turn the page to the next article? Because I assure you those images, those words have been permanently branded into my brain. Are you committed or complacent?